All right, to determine what beam we want to use, we're going to go out to this website that I have a link posted on the example. And we're going to come in here and we'll look at the wide flange steel beam. And so this is the I-beam that we're going to want to use to support that second floor that we're designing. And so I'm going to go ahead and click on that. If you get something that pops up that says download, just close that window and click on it again, and the table should load. So here is the beam designation. We have all of this information about the dimensions of the beam, and we can also click on this button here and it'll give us the properties of the different beams. And so the dimension that we're wanting to use for our design is under the properties, and we are wanting to look at the plastic modulus. Right here is e to the x. And so our number in our calculation was 5.01 inches cubed. And so I'm going to keep scrolling down until I find a beam that is somewhat close to that. I haven't found one yet. We're still in the hundreds. There was a 95, getting closer. Keep scrolling. .26, we're getting closer. 18.7. Here's a 12.6. That looks like the best design for what we can use. And so we're going to want to write down, so you want to grab a piece of scratch paper or something and write down the information that we need for this beam. First of all, we do need that number, the plastic modulus. So I'll write that down. In this case it was 12.6. We are going to want to also write down moment of inertia. This number right here is an elastic property for moment of inertia, and so we'll go ahead and write that down. And we are going to want to write that number down in the x direction, and so we want this one right here, 53.8. So I'll write that down. The other two things that we will want are under the dimensions. So I'll click on the dimension tab. I'll go clear down until I find that beam that I wanted to use. Here it is, a W10 by 12. The thing that we need now is the thickness right here in inches. 0.19. So I'll write that down. And then the last thing we'll need is the depth measure in inches. So here's depth. Our depth was 9.87. All right, so once you have those numbers, the next thing you can do is go back to your design sheet here, and we can write down. So I'm going to write beam selection down. This is the beam that we're choosing based on our calculations. The beam selection is a W 10 by 12, and the specs for it are, it has an elastic modulus in the x direction of 12.6. It has a moment of inertia in the x direction of 53.8. It has a width of 0.19 inches, and it has a depth of 9.87 inches. Moment of inertia is inches to the fourth. And elastic modulus is inches cubed. So once you have those numbers down, this is, I'll go ahead and circle this again, and this is the beam that we'll use.